In the Philippines, in Zamboanga, that's one of the provinces in the south. The island of Mindanao is the southernmost island of the Philippines, and it's the second biggest island out of the 7,000 islands. And in the south, because it's very close to Malaysia, Borneo, and more than half are Muslims. And in Zamboanga, in front of one of the mosques in Zamboanga, you will see the statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Okay. They don't call her the Blessed Virgin Mary, they call her the Mother of Jesus Christ. So, you have Muslims who venerate the Mother of Jesus Christ, and these are Muslims. They are Christians. So, I couldn't understand why non-Catholics would disdain. In fact, some actually do hate. I couldn't understand why, because here is another religion who considers Jesus Christ as another prophet, and one of the greatest prophets, who is the Son of God, because Muhammad is his brother, who is also the Son of God, but was sent at a different time to correct the church that Jesus Christ built, because the Christians have corrupted it. But that's beside the point. That's their teaching. The thing is, they see Mary as the mother of the brother of Muhammad. And so they venerate Mary. Strange, huh?
Very.
But don't you think that if we take our lives, for example, and you have a very good friend, and you go to their house, you respect the mother, right? Now, I couldn't understand why the non-Catholics do not. Apparently, it's a matter of trying to separate themselves from the Catholic Church. And what better way of separating themselves but to separate themselves from something that the Catholics cherish the most, besides Jesus. Now, the wrong assumption or the presumed belief that they say about Catholics is, well, some of these Catholics, they already put Mary above Jesus. Guess what? It's true. It's true. Some Mexicans, for example, would celebrate all the feasts of Lady of Guadalupe and forget about Jesus Christ. We have to admit that happens, but that is not what the Catholic Church teaches. And that's why it is the duty of any Catholic who knows their doctrine to correct this, because that is not what the Catholic Church teaches. And the non-Catholics will say, see, they worship and adore Mary. They're idolaters. So we have to explain to them that we don't worship Mary. And as Jess would say, we go to Mary because she's the closest one to Jesus. I'm pretty sure if you want something from the President of the United States, and you don't have to know, but maybe you know somebody who knows Laura Bush. You're not going directly to the President because you might not even get past his secretary, right? But you go to your friend, talk to your friend, and Laura Bush, when they're about to go to sleep, he whispers and says, I have a friend who has a friend who needs this. Guess what? He will listen, right? And what more if you go to Barbara Bush, who's the mother? He will listen. But we do not say that we have diminished his power. See? We can go directly to him. But sometimes it's better to go through somebody else because you know they're closer. And that is the role of Mary. Mary brought Jesus into this world. She was not just an instrument, because when God made us, He gave us free will. And He was not about to violate the free will of Mary. So what happens? He had to ask her. Sent an angel. And what did she say? Do it to me according to your will. And that's why we venerate Mary. And I always tell them, look, you're Christians. You want, what does Christianity mean? You want to live a life as Jesus lived. Jesus was not a Christian. He was a Jew. He followed the 10 Commandments. And the 4th commandment says, honor your father and your mother. How can you call yourself a Christian if you do not honor the mother of the one you call Lord and Savior? Hard to understand. That's what they do. Yes, question.
Yeah, I'm just coming back over some of the things he said. When he used the term woman, does that mean that's a sign of respect?
In the old tradition, yes. Because even in the Old Testament, you shall be in enmity of the woman. Every time
What's enmity? I don't know what that
you'll be your greatest enemy, remember, and
Okay.
he will crush your head. During that time, a woman is a position of honor. Now, what they do now is they say, see, they didn't even say mother, it said woman. Even at the wedding of Cana, if I'm in my edition, I don't know about yours, he did not say, mother, it's not yet my time. He said, woman, what is this have to do with me? It is not yet my time. So when they use the word woman, even in the cross, he said, son, behold your mother. Woman, behold your son. That's how Jesus called those women who are close to her. And most particularly, the woman closest to him, which is Jesus. So it was not a derogatory word during that time. But they tried to show it to you that way. See, he doesn't even respect his mother. He calls her a woman. But you have to look at it in context of the time. Any other questions, Mary? Yes.
Okay. And I don't understand about that Mary's the new Ark of the Covenant. I didn't understand
Okay.
that.
What's the Ark of the Covenant? The Ark of the Covenant is where the things that God gave His people of Israel is kept.
In the Old Testament.
In the Old Testament. Okay. They revered that because it kept the covenant between God and His people. It contained everything that was sacred in their religion. Mary had Jesus, who is the greatest thing that ever happened. She became the new Ark of the Covenant.
Because she carried Jesus.
Because she carried Jesus in herself. She was now the new covenant. Because remember, in the Old Testament, it was the old covenant between Moses and his people.
Right.
In the New Testament, it is the new covenant between God through Jesus. And Mary was the Ark who carried Jesus. Now, mind you, you will say, it's so obvious. How come the non-Catholics still do not believe? Why? Because nobody told them. That's the sad part about it, and as I've been saying all along to all the classes we've had, we are talking to you so you may learn, but we hope that it doesn't stop here. But when you go outside, whatever you learn here goes. Again, to remind ourselves about Bishop Fulton Sheen. I can count on my fingers the number of people who are against Catholic doctrine But he said there are millions who are against presumed Catholic doctrine. So for us who know Catholic doctrine, everything is so simple. Why don't they believe this? Why don't they believe that? Because they were not taught that. It's not their fault. Many times it's not their fault. Yes.
And I understand about her obedience, but her faith. Did she know what Jesus' role was going to be? I mean, she didn't know. So, what part of her faith that I'm not understanding what part of her faith that we.
There's a passage in the Bible that though she does not understand, she kept everything in her heart.
Yeah.
In other words, whatever God says, she has faith that God will fulfill.
So whatever was going on, she just knew that, well, that was God's will.
Yeah, that's God's will.
Okay.
I am the mother of God, as just said, I'm the mother of God, why am I suffering? Maybe it's not God. See? But no, she kept her faith. And the best example that Jess gave was the one of Abraham. We see Abraham's faith because he was willing to sacrifice his only son, who was supposed to be his descendant that will give him descendants more numerous than the sky, stars in the sky. But here he was asked by God to sacrifice